let's start with your audition then for Jethro Tull. I read that you said it didn't go too well. You were very nervous at the time. So what's your memories? What's your recollections of that first audition?
It was a complex run up to it because me and Ian were the two guys, the only two guys in England playing flute in the Roland Kirk style. So we sort of knew of each other through the grapevine, but had never heard each other and never met. So this was sort of going on, and you'd hear, "Oh, I went to see that guy who plays flute like you," and he was probably getting the same his direction. And finally, we played in Plymouth, which is where I live, near Plymouth, the Van Dyke Club. It was the opening night of the Van Dyke Club, which is an amazing place that they had pretty well every band from the UK, Cream, John Mayall, The Who, Pink Floyd. It was like the marquee, but it was here in Plymouth. So it was, this was the opening night, and it was Jethro Tull headline and Gethsemane, my band, supporting. So he was the big meeting we've been waiting for all these months. And we got on great, and we talked about the flute. We both played, and obviously very similar style. So I was playing flute and guitar, and my band was a blues band. So a few months later, Mick quits Jethro Tull. They're looking for a guitar player. They're trying to think who they know. They remember me, but they can't remember my name or the band I was playing in. So in the end, Terry Ellis, the manager from Chrysalis Records, found me, and he found me on the we were quitting because we just given up. We've just been making no money for 3 years, and we finally going to call it a day. The very last gig, we were in London, and he found me, gave me his card, said, "Call," and I knew what it was because I'd seen the advert in the Melody Maker. I was too scared to apply. I didn't have the confidence. So there was the card, called me in the morning, go and audition for the guys. I turned up in Soho in this basement room, and the whole room is lined with guitar players all the way around the wall, with Clive and Glenn in the middle, jamming to each one. Want to come up, jam. When Ian had enough, he'd tap Clive on the shoulder, and they'd stop and go, "Thank you, next." So it was this like doctor's
no pressure at all. Yeah,
it was horrible. It was hideous. So I mean, I didn't fall apart, but I was rubbish. I was so bad playing guitar. I said, "Shall I play a bit of flute?" I don't know why I said it. So I had I played some piece that I knew on flute, and that was really good. But that was no use. So, okay, they had a short list of me, Tony Iommi, I think Mick Taylor. That they went for Tony. Tony didn't particularly meld with the music. Didn't suit him. He wasn't comfortable. And at the same time, I just thought I'd call Ian and I'd say, "Look, it was dreadful. I played really badly. What's going on?" Because, if there's another chance, I'd jump at it. There was. We had a rehearsal in up Angel Islington in a pub all day. I learned a bit of their music. They learned a bit of mine. And there we go.
The chemistry was there and it all worked out fantastic.
Yeah, well, I just, something in me that I knew that was the gig, my gig. And I don't know why, because I was a very shy and not very confident musician, but I just knew it was meant to be.
Meant to be, indeed. Fantastic stuff. Indeed, yeah. In terms of Ian, then, obviously he comes across his persona as a crazy English gent or something. What was he like in those early days?
Sort of larger than life, amazing personality, and Scottish. He'd pick you up on that one, Scottish gent.
Yes.
And, I think I was a little bit in awe of him. So it took me a while to settle in, but I don't think the band believed I was the right guy for the job. We did a few gigs, and people didn't like me because they knew Mick. they knew Jethro Tull as a blues band, and we weren't playing the blues. We were playing the music from stand up, and they didn't necessarily like it at all. And they wondered where Mick was and why the guitar player wasn't a blues guitar player. And then finally, we did a gig in Manchester Uni, and we went down great. And me and Ian were backstage, and we were like, I was so relieved, obviously, but in a nicely, so was he, because he'd made this decision, and he'd really put his neck on the line, and finally it was accepted. And the next week we're in Europe with Hendrix. So we were supporting Hendrix for a few weeks, and then America, recording stand up America. Crazy.
Yeah. A question that a lot of my listeners have asked me to ask you, and Ken Hoggins, Mitchell Riley, Thomas Spencer as well, just three of the ones I can see there, all asking about the split between you and Ian. Was it amicable at the time?
It was a very strange event. I guess somebody will write about it eventually. It's something that I needed to get over and move on from. It's either going to destroy me, and I wouldn't let it, because whatever qualities I have, I'm really obstinate, stubborn, single-minded, determined, whatever I am or whatever I'm not as a musician. And I let other people say that. I will never give up. I will never be, go by the wayside. I just want to play music. I love my guitars. I love playing. I love the music of Tull. So it's a shame. I just think of all the Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart. Just that the connections, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. I'm not saying that we're of that in that league, but me and Ian had a connection musically, much more than music, and it's gone forever. And that's sad. That's really sad. But I've got my own band. That they're amazing. I've got the best musicians I've ever worked with, and I do all the arrangements. It's my band. I'm a band leader.
Yes,
and I love it. I hate to say it, I love it. Because I love work. I'm a workaholic, and I'm a musicaholic. So it keeps me really happy. It keeps me alive, and I guess that was the upside to it. I was out on my own. I had no support from anybody, record company, management. That nobody gave me any support. So I had to start from zero, like we're saying about albums, absolute zero. I had to find people who would get me work, people who would release CDs. And it didn't come easily. I was with everybody else in the world. I was just, I might get my foot in the door because I had a track record, but after that, you're on your own. You've got to sell what you've got. What have you got? I don't know. Do you have any faith in me? So it's been a long journey to get where I am, but I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change that for the world. And I wouldn't change my band. I'm so loyal, and it's such a strong collection of people. And we've worked so hard to get where we are, wherever that is, and it has a good degree of success, and it's mine, and
yes.
and nobody will take that away from me.
That's it. It's your name that's in bold. It's your name that's in lights, and you're proud of where you've come from. But like you said there, just touching back, if you don't mind, you said you didn't want to let it destroy you. So obviously this was something that you didn't want to happen. It wasn't your choice. So what was the conversation? What happened to finally cause the split then?
This is a conversation you would have to have with Ian, because essentially Ian talked and I listened.
Okay.
So you draw your own conclusions. But it's an area. It makes me sad I don't want to be sad.
No, no.
I'm positive and looking forward to touring and making more records. And I always say to people, it's the worst business decision that was ever made in the history of Jethro Tull, because you look around and you see people doing these huge, it's not just about the money, but the attention they get. That the brand is now so diluted as it's a real shame. And I feel that the way it's been diluted, it has an impact on us all, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I was going to ask as well, because obviously at the time there was the Martin Barre band. I think Ian Anderson was Ian Anderson's band, and then he came back with Ian Anderson as Jethro Tull, and then I think a couple of years ago he came back as Jethro Tull. So Brendan Nahal was saying, what were your thoughts on Ian carrying on Jethro Tull, the actual name, now without you?
Yeah, well, I am Jethro Tull's guitar player. I was. I am now, and I always will be. The same as Ian will always be the singer flute player of Jethro Tull. So no tribute band, no band I have will ever be Jethro Tull. It can't be. In my mind, that there isn't a Jethro Tull, that there's Ian's band, my band, we play the music of Jethro Tull, and we have, one person each that's from that core important Jethro Tull era. It's a really difficult area, and people have to make up their own mind. And there's room for everybody. It's a big world.